I am here.
Oh,
Very
good,
good to be
good.
very good to be with you all.
Yeah, Sir Graham Watson is my senior in the World Cycling Alliance. He is the president of World Cycling Alliance, and he was member of the European Parliament for 5 terms or 4 terms.
4 terms.
4 terms. And we are privileged to have him lead the World Cycling Alliance. Now, over to you, Graham.
Well, thank you, Manaha, and happy World Bicycle Day. It's great that you've chosen to organize this, and in particular, I would like to register my thanks to you, Manaha, for all of the work you have done, not only to get this together, but as a vice president of the World Cycling Alliance. I'm sure that many of the people following this conference today will be aware of some of the things you've done. They may not be really aware of quite what a remarkable person you are. So let me just share with everyone today some things about Manaha. Not only has Manaha cycled for many kilometers, or as we would still say in the United Kingdom, many miles in India, but he has also cycled at least once, and I think twice, from London to Paris. He has established a bike share system in at least 5 major Indian cities, and he is now working with ministers and officials on a national cycling strategy for India. It's thanks to you, Manohar, that we have made such progress in recent years, and as President of the World Cycling Alliance, I salute you and I commend your efforts. Let me congratulate you too, as India, on the advances you have made. Not only are you moving towards having a national cycling strategy, but you've made big advances, as I saw when I was teaching a few years ago at the Symbiosis University in Pune. You've made big advances in certain cities. You've made big advances in bike sharing. You have, as the honourable speaker who preceded me mentioned, a major development in Hyderabad with a long cycle path and solar panels integrated into it, showing the rest of the world exactly the kind of things that can be done, but which we need to speed up. Your advances are being followed worldwide. I know that many African countries are looking to what you are doing. I know that you have participated actively in things like the World Bicycle Forum and Velocity. You are not only helping us to understand what is possible, but you are also learning at the same time from global best practice. And that is what we seek to do in the World Cycling Alliance. And I'm very pleased to say that humankind is slowly becoming healthier through cleaner air. I know that in a country which has problems like the air pollution that you have in Delhi, it doesn't always seem that we are making progress, but we are. People are becoming healthier through more exercise, and life on the planet is slowly becoming more sustainable. My experience as a Bureau member or Vice President of the European Cyclists Federation and as President of the World Cycling Alliance is that tremendous progress is being made, even if it is not yet generally appreciated. And if you want one example of how to measure this progress, look at what is becoming known as bikelash, a backlash against cycling from motorists and from others. You had a small but quite well-known example of it in Kolkata about 13 years ago. We've seen it in North America and in Europe much more recently. But what this means is that we are winning, that we are establishing better opportunities for people to cycle, and that some other road users, particularly car drivers, have begun to recognize this too. It's very strange. The motor car has not been with us for many generations, and yet it has taken us at least 100 years to understand the huge damage being done by the hydrocarbon-fueled combustion engine. The damage to life, in view of the numbers of people killed on the roads, the damage to public health from the air pollution that destroys our lungs and harms our brains, the damage to our neighborhoods as traffic congestion disrupts human lives, and to the very survival of our species on Earth, as the burning of fossil fuels drives climate change. And yet, meanwhile, the motor car has become a symbol of freedom for many people, a symbol which many people aspire to own. I believe it was the scientist Einstein, after living for some years in America, who observed that the only things which are infinite are the universe and man's stupidity. And then he added, and I'm not sure about the universe. So humankind has a huge problem. The challenge of persuading people to dream not of owning and always using a car, but of living in a society in which motor cars are available when they are needed, powered by electricity, but in which people have better alternatives for transporting themselves around. You know, some people say, well, we simply replace all the petrol and diesel cars on the roads with electric models. But come on, even if we had enough rare earths to make the batteries for so many vehicles, and we do not, the process of building another 1.4 billion motor cars would emit so much carbon that we would all fry before they were ever driven. What we need most is better public transport between and within our cities, car sharing schemes for when a car is needed, but much more active travel. In other words, walking and cycling. And these are things for which we campaign and you campaign, and we are beginning to see progress. You know, in some countries in Europe, in China, in India, in some respects, the tasks are relatively easy because bicycles were a major means of transport until fairly recently, and now they are popular again. For women, what was first called the freedom machine now once more allows them to travel around quickly and safely at very little cost. For women and men, they are an easy way of getting about in town and of practicing leisure activity in the country. In India, although you've a major, proud history of cycling events like the Tour of New Zealand or mountain bike Himalaya, the car culture is still difficult to overcome, and yet even here a transformation is happening. Your government is building fast railway lines linking your major cities. You've made a start with light urban railway systems, as you can see in Hyderabad on Sardar Patel Road. There's still a long way to go in terms of getting people to think of bicycles for short distance travel. We need more bicycle parking at metro stations, for example. But we are having an impact. We're acting to limit climate change. To live by the African proverb, which tells us that the best time to plant the tree was 20 years ago, but that the second best time is now. If we're serious about tackling climate change, we have to act fast and in every locality. But it's not rocket science. And when transport accounts for about 1/3 of all the greenhouse gas emissions. And when we know that 2 out of every 3 urban journeys are made for distances of less than 5 kilometers, then the answer is pretty simple. Because currently, more than half of those journeys are made by car or motorcycle, and they could easily be made by bicycle or on foot. Many goods could be delivered by cargo bike. The development of electric bicycles means that age or physical strength are not the problem they used to be. When Ronaldo Singh from Manipur won the silver medal in the Asian Cycling Championships a couple of years ago, we all celebrated the glory that he brought to India. But at a more prosaic level, we can all do something like that. Cycling to work, cycling to school, cycling to university, cycling to shops, cycling to see friends or relatives in our free time. People who will join us in campaigning for easier access to bicycles through schemes like Smart Bike, and for infrastructure which provides safe parking spaces for bicycles, dedicated cycling paths. These are the things that we need. And let me just say in conclusion that the most important thing I learned in politics is that democracies are too often run by crisis management. Serious problems are not tackled until they become urgent. India may not be so far advanced at national level, but I've been impressed at what I've seen at state level and city level in your country, in places from Bihar to West Bengal, where more and more people, especially women, using bicycles, enjoying greater freedom and economic opportunity. Those are the kind of things that we need to be replicating across the world. Congratulations, India, for showing us the way.
Thank you very much, Graham, for sharing your thoughts. Sir Graham Watson visited India several times, and he visited Hyderabad, and when the dedicated cycling track 23 into 2, 46 kilometers with solar roof, when it was nearly ready, I took him there and I showed him. And he said, "Wow, I'm glad it's happening in India." Now it is fully operational, and Graham, we are operating it. We have provided a public bike sharing system at the dedicated cycling track there. And when he was in India, when he was in Hyderabad, he inaugurated for the students of Hyderabad Public School a club, and he exhorted them to cycle. And subsequently, the Hyderabad Public School told me that now lot of students cycle to the school instead of coming in fancy cars. And thanks to you, Graham, you inspired them. And well, greetings on the occasion of the World Bicycle Day, and I look forward to meeting you soon. Thank you very much. We have Miss Lorian Krieg. She is the CEO of European Cyclist Federation. In fact, World Cycling Alliance is promoted by European Cyclist Federation, which is there since a long time and which is instrumental in promoting cycling all over Europe. And as a CEO, she oversees this growth, and she would be sharing what they are doing in Europe for cycling promotion. And before you start, Lorian, greetings on the occasion of World Bicycle Day. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure, although after hearing the two speakers before me, there's quite a lot that has been said. It's very interesting to see the developments in India, and we're very grateful to be part of this meeting today. So, as you mentioned, Manohar, we administer in a way, or we do the secretariat for the World Cycling Alliance. Our motto fits very well with this conference on World Bicycle Day, more and better cycling for all. And if you look, we did check and now it's not working. Apologies, I was going to change the slides. Yes. So it's mostly around the cycling as sustainable and healthy means of transport. Both speakers before explained how much transport and short trips in cities are instrumental in having a better quality of life, how the space has been developed in a way that puts car in the middle instead of citizens in the middle. So for us, what we want to push is really cycling is sustainable, it's healthy, it's good for transport as a transport mode. I think it was quite inspiring to see the Ministry of Transport of India kind of saying that very clearly. So Mrs. Rohina Gupta, when she was saying, did we build a city for people or did we build it for cars? And traditionally in Europe, and I assume in India, it was the same. It was built mostly around one mode of transport. So we advocate for having more modes, those that are better for the climate, better for the people themselves. And we have members in around Europe. You see the map here. We were established in 1983, so we've been working with our 70 members around, well, a bit more over 40 years now, so 43 years ago. We have a vision where basically it's focused very strongly on what can be done at government level, at decision makers level, so it's very interesting for me to speak here and to see every one of you in their remit can do something to support cycling. The overall objective being for us to double the number of kilometers cycled in Europe, and the way and the means to get there is really more and better infrastructure. We see that there's a correlation when there is more infrastructure in better shape in people in taking up cycling. And on that, I also want to congratulate you in India on the national cycling strategies. We see in Europe, this is a winning strategy to embed cycling in a societal objective, so to look into cycling as being an objective on transport, but link it as well to the housing, to the way you run errand, the way you go from A to B. That's extremely important for us. So we work very closely on infrastructure. The challenge there is that obviously for infrastructure you need money. So in our advocacy we say 10% of national spending on transport should be invested in cycling or in active modes. So that's where we actually defined a target for Europe, but that's transposable somewhere else. And of course, we do need champions. We need politicians to actually take on the leadership, a bit like Sir Graham was doing just a while ago, just to kind of take ownership and encourage people to say, okay, this is actually the mode that we want to privilege, this is good for you, this is good for the planet, and this is good for society as well. And underlying, of course, better infrastructure, more kilometer cycle, safety is also very key. So we want to make sure that the cyclists don't incur additional risk when they cycle on our roads and on our cycling path. Interestingly, if you want just an order of magnitude, obviously compared to a continent such as India, this is probably small in Europe, but in Europe we have about now 900,000 kilometers of cycling paths and roads, not close to 1 million, but not quite. Not all segregated, but sometimes part of the road and painted and so on. So there's quite a lot to be done, but we've established a baseline across countries in Europe, and you have about 900,000 kilometers of roads available for cyclists, for leisure, but also for the day-to-day move. We are very kind of engaged at all levels. So in Europe, you have cities, you have regions, you have the national level, and then you have the European level. Everyone, it's a bit like a puzzle, so everyone can play a bit of role. Obviously, more is known at the cities level about what's needed in a specific city. That's the example maybe of Hyderabad that you were saying. When a city and the local council makes the decision to invest and to provide the means, then of course you drive the use up. And I think I just want to flag maybe as well the cycle-friendly employer certification. So there we go to companies through our members, and we ask the companies to provide the employees with sufficient information, but also sufficient infrastructure for their employees to cycle to work. What does that mean? It means a better communication, sometimes shower available at the office, and some active communication. We have a lot of campaigns. This one just ended, but in various countries in Europe, you have May on a bike, culminating now with the World Bicycle Day, that encourages more people to cycle, because there's quite a lot of very convinced cyclists, but you want to reach out a bit broader and to go across all layers of society, across all ages, as was mentioned as well by the ministry. So you want kids to learn to cycle from a younger age, you want them to continue cycling on a university level, and then you get a population that's healthier and you get better, let's say, societal gains altogether. One element as well that I want to just flag is Eurovelos. So in Eurovelo, it's cycling routes, but for tourists. We see that there's a big potential in Europe to develop these and to actually bring economic benefits on cycling for leisure and